So the way we, just to let you know, I'll be asking questions, and then if you could wait a second before replying, and Atla's going to translate it into Portuguese, just so everyone is keeping up.
Sure.
Fala para ela que tem um delay de aproximadamente 30 segundos a 1 minuto. Então, que se talvez ela abrir o link agora, ela não vai ver nada. Hã? Só para ela ver.
So, the way we, just to let you know, I'll be asking questions, and then if you wait a second before replying.
Porque já começou. Pronto, som tá distorcido, né? Um pouquinho.
Mas isso vai ser como vai ser aqui?
É que quando você fala, sai o áudio lá, e aí a câmera tá captando tanto a sua voz aqui quanto lá. Mas ele vai captar muito mais lá, porque ela é mais alta. Não, é porque eu tava com o link do YouTube aberto. Coloca um ponto no final. Não, você tá.
Aí ele pediu pra essa parte daqui, entendeu? Isso. Você vai pegar a pergunta agora, depois?
Daqui a pouco eu pego. Vai começar. Vocês querem que a Sylvia já tá olhando vocês.
Olha, a câmera tá aqui atrás. Aqui, ó.
Mãe, então tá Globo, mãe. Eu vou explicar, gente. Tem uma mochila, tem papéis caídos, tem uma cadeira na cadeira.
Explica pra ela, gente, o público tá entrando.
Isso já deu uma.
Vocês falaram que a jornalista da Veja tá aqui.
Eu vou passar um para vocês. A gente pegou os números, a gente vai fazer um sorteio no final do chat. Queria pedir desculpas um pouco pela demora, porque a gente estava na conexão e também acho que vocês estavam. As perguntas vocês podem fazer no papel que eu peguei, eu vou recolher e vou passar lá para cima. Só para vocês entenderem a dinâmica, as duas moderadoras elas estão lá no topo.
Eu passo agora, mostrando para vocês. Assim, agora, para vocês.
A Kézia, ela da esquerda, e a Renata da direita. E a Sylvia tem. Então, é isso. As meninas vão começar a falar com ela, apresentar, e as perguntas eu vou recolher aos poucos e levo para lá.
Quer falar?
Okay, so now Max has explained everything to everyone, so I think we're all set to go. I'm going to start with the first question to, get everything out of the way. We're coming back from Carnaval, which is a big holiday here, and everyone was pleasantly surprised to read a small little teaser from it was a great Carnaval / Valentine's Day gift for all of us. We would love to know if there's anything you can tell us about the release date, and then also the tone was very hopeful and positive, and so we wanted to know if we could finally breathe a sigh of relief for our favorite couple.
Então, pessoal, a Kézia vai fazer as perguntas e eu vou traduzir. Então, a Kézia acabou de falar que a gente acabou de voltar do carnaval com uma boa surpresa, que foi um trecho do Todo Seu, e que a gente está super animada e super ansiosa, então a gente quer saber se ela tem alguma ideia de data e também se ela pode adiantar, se a gente já pode suspirar um pouco, aliviado para o nosso casal favorito. You can go ahead.
All right, hang on a minute.
Não, pergunta se ela tá com o link do YouTube aberto.
Oh, do you have the YouTube link on? Because it has a slight delay.
Agora tá sim.
Okay, sorry, there's a bit of a delay, so when you're talking, I can hear everything happening like a couple minutes later. I don't have a release date for one with you yet, so as soon as I have one, I would happily share that with you guys. Yes, there will be a happily ever after for Gideon and Ava, of course.
Então, pessoal, ela pediu desculpa ela por estar com um pouco de delay, e ela falou que ela ainda não pode dar nenhum tipo de data, mas que podemos ficar tranquilos que sim, vai ter um final feliz para o nosso casal favorito.
In line with asking for some news, we also wanted to know if the TV show, if there's any development in terms of that. We're also dying to have any news of any sort, obviously.
Então, a pergunta é a seguinte, existe algum tipo de previsão com relação à série, né, Crossfire, que a gente está super ansioso para saber notícias nesse sentido?
Nossa, tá muito delay pra ela.
Já tá certo.
I don't have any developments to share about the television show at this time. It's still in progress. I know it's been a long time. It's been almost 2 years since they optioned the rights to the TV show, but it is a very long process and we're still in the very beginning stages of it. So hopefully I'll have something new to share in the next few months or so, but right now everything that has happened is I'm not allowed to talk about it.
So curious.
Então, ela respondeu falando que até tem novidades, mas que ela não pode dividir com a gente. Então, mas que talvez nos próximos meses ela vai poder dividir alguma novidade.
Well, we're gonna switch it up a little bit. I'll ask you the questions and then ask you to answer right away, and then Hanatha can translate it all at once, so we can try to get over the delay. But so stepping a little bit away from the Crossfire series, Paralela will be publishing in April, Afterburn and Aftershock. And so if there's anything you could tell everyone that's here and that's watching, a little bit about the two novellas and why they should definitely read it. Well, we're gonna switch up a little bit. I'll ask you the questions and ask you to answer right away, and then translate it all at once.
Okay.
So we can try to get over the delay. But stepping a little bit away from the Crossfire series, Paralela will be publishing in April, Afterburn and Aftershock.
That's my name.
So if there's anything
YouTuber está.
a little bit about and why they should.
Afterburn and Aftershock. I love that series. I'm so glad that you're going to get to read it in Portuguese. It's set in New York, so for those of you who are familiar with the Crossfire series, it will seem somewhat familiar in that regard. But the difference, there are actually several, but one of the main ones is that Gia works in the restaurant industry. Her family owns a restaurant, and they're building those into chains, and she is working for a restaurateur who finds chefs and turns them into celebrity chefs. So we get a bit of the restaurant industry in New York, which is hugely important for New York culture. And then we also have Jax, the hero, who works in politics, which will be reminiscent to people who like shows like Scandal, if you love Scandal as much as I do. So there's a lot of things to love about it, most especially Jax, who's like super hot.
Então, pessoal, vocês devem ter notado que agora a gente mudou um pouco o esquema, então a gente, por causa do delay, a Kézia está fazendo as perguntas, a gente está esperando ela responder, para eu já produzir tudo de uma vez, a pergunta já com a resposta. A pergunta foi a seguinte, em abril a Paralela vai lançar os próximos livros da Sylvia, que vai ser Recaída e Reconquista, vão se chamar Recaída e Reconquista. São duas novelas, uma seguida da outra. Então, a gente pediu para só falar um pouquinho por que vocês definitivamente têm que ler essas e quais são as principais diferenças. Ela respondeu, bom, tem muitas diferenças. A grande semelhança é que também se passa em Nova York, mas que a diferença é que o herói, ele trabalha no ramo de gastronomia. A heroína trabalha no ramo de gastronomia, de restaurantes, e o herói trabalha com política, então que quem gosta de séries como Scandal vai adorar. E que a outra semelhança muito importante é que o herói também é super hot, super lindo, e que a gente também vai se apaixonar por ele. Então, aguardem.
Well, as the editor who's already read, I can tell you it's very hot and very fun.
Thank you.
I'm also a fan of Scandal, so I enjoyed it very much, the politics. I actually started watching since you commented about it so much. A couple of questions that we had talked about previously is that we've noticed that all your books in general, they're really good for female characters who are very strong, and but at the same time we've heard stories of where they even save marriages. And so we wanted to know why do you feel that happens, and if you've ever heard something like that, so if someone's ever told that to you directly.
But at the same time, we've heard stories of where they save marriage. And so we wanted to know why do you feel that happens, and if you've ever heard something like that.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I got the whole part of the question. I think it kind of got broken off a little bit. You were talking about strong female characters, and then what you said after that got lost.
Oh, so I was talking about how we've heard stories that not only does it inspire women to be more like Eva, to be strong, and so I'll make it a two-part question to join it with our next question so that we have more time for the fan questions. So the first question is, does that happen to you too? Does writing Eva and these strong female characters teach you or empower you? Because it's definitely very empowering for us as readers. And then the second part is, the other part of female empowerment that we felt is that it changes how women feel in the bedroom, and it's been said to even save marriages. And so we wanted to know why you think that happens.
Okay.
Does that happen to you too? Does writing and characters teach you or empower you? It's definitely very empowering for us as readers. And then the second part is the other part of the other parts of the film is that it changes how women feel in the bedroom, and it led to even same marriages. So what is your why?
Yes, absolutely. As the writer, I am empowered by my female characters, and if readers are empowered the same way, I think that's absolutely wonderful. That's the wonderful thing about being a writer and telling stories, is that I can put qualities into my characters that I wish that I had more of. You know, some of them are braver than me, some of them are smarter than me, some of them take risks that I would never take, and that, of course, inspires me to try to do that on my own, because I can see them how they work through that, what the outcome is for them, and go, you know what, I can try to be more like that. I can try to do that.
Então, essa foi uma pergunta muito legal e uma resposta mais legal ainda. A pergunta foi o seguinte, que a gente nota que a Sylvia, ela escreve personagens femininas muito fortes e muito poderosas. E como a gente perguntou como ela se sente com relação a isso, a gente falou que até essas personagens até inspiram as leitoras a mudarem a própria vida, a melhorarem o próprio casamento. Então, a gente pediu para ela falar um pouco como ela se sente com relação a tudo isso. E a resposta é que ela, como escritora, fica muito feliz com essa resposta das pessoas e que ela também se inspira com os personagens femininos dela. Ela considera que esses personagens têm atributos que ela gostaria de ter, ela mesma. Então, ela fala que esses personagens, às vezes, são mais fortes, são mais corajosas, são mais espertas e assumem mais riscos do que ela. E, então, que às vezes, ela mesma se espelha nesses personagens para ser um pouquinho mais assim. E a resposta é que ela eu faço pergunta. Okay, Sylvia, now we're going to change a little bit. We're going to read. Como assim, né? Gente, desculpa. Então, assim, vocês fizeram perguntas, a Kézia vai traduzir para a Sylvia em inglês. A gente vai será a resposta dela, e daí eu traduzo a pergunta e a resposta.
Oh, so now I'm going to read a question from the fans, and then after you answer, Renata will translate it back. Erica from Blog Literalmente Amigas has said, Sylvia, your hot scenes are breathtaking. I need to know, do you just picture them in your head, or is there a test drive?
Great. Now that's a really personal question, right? I mean, we're not going to talk about my sex life, but on on one hand here, I mean, all of my couples, I say, are pretty vanilla in a lot of respects, right? I don't write BDSM, I don't write menage. I mean, I really write about one man and one woman using the equipment that God gave them. And since I have 2 children, a son and a daughter, I am somewhat familiar with how that works.
Então, a pergunta foi a seguinte, Sylvia, sua cenação de tirar o fôlego, então a gente precisa saber se isso é só algo imaginado na sua cabeça ou se há um test drive antes. E ela respondeu, bom, gente, essa é uma pergunta bem pessoal, eu não vou falar explicitamente da minha vida sexual, mas os meus personagens, eles têm cenas bem, comparadas com outros livros, eles têm cenas bem light, bem vanilla, e geralmente os personagens usam o equipamento que Deus deu para eles. E é isso, né?
E ela tem 2 filhos, então ela sabe como funciona.
E ela tem 2 filhos, um menino e uma menina, então ela é familiar, ela sabe como isso funciona.
So now Tatiana from here from São Paulo, she's asking, where do you get inspiration for your romance novels and your characters' chemistries?
Inspiration really comes from everything. I mean, just in the act of living my life, you know, I run into situations. I could be sitting in the airport and watching a couple who are getting on and off a plane, and sometimes they'll be fighting, or sometimes they'll be kissing, or there'll be a body language that's happening. And just from watching that, I'll go, what's their story? And of course, since I don't know and I can't ask them, my imagination will start to fill in the gaps, and sometimes that leads to writing a story. You know, and I mean anything. I could be in the grocery store and there could be an argument between two guys, and I'll wonder, you know, what started that? Maybe it's a woman they're fighting over, and those sorts of things. They just build on each other until eventually they form a story.
Então, a pergunta da Tatiana, né? Não foi de onde vem a inspiração para suas histórias e para os seus personagens. E a resposta foi, bom, a inspiração vem de qualquer lugar, de vários lugares inusitados. Então, eu posso estar, por exemplo, num aeroporto, no saguão do aeroporto, e eu vejo um casal, eles podem estar se beijando, eles podem estar brigando, e claro que eu não posso perguntar para eles o que está acontecendo, então eu deixo a minha imaginação responder essas minhas perguntas, e essas minhas respostas muitas vezes acabam dando numa cena ou até num livro. Outro exemplo que ela deu é que ela pode estar no supermercado e ver dois caras brigando e ela já imagina que eles estão brigando por causa de uma mulher e assim por diante.
In line with that inspiration, someone here didn't leave their name, but they said that they read an interview with you some time ago where you mentioned that you had once seen a man that was sort of similar to Gideon coming out of a building, and that was an inspiration. Are those rumors true? Does Gideon exist?
In line with that inspiration, their name, but they said that they read an interview where you mentioned that you had once seen a man that was sort of similar to Gideon coming out of the building.
Ela ouve a vida dela.
I'm not sure I got what the question was from that. Is it true that there is a man out there who inspired Gideon Cross? Absolutely. He is alive and well, and he lives in Manhattan.
I like this sigh where everyone's moving there now.
Yeah.
Só para quem não pegou, a pergunta foi se existe um homem real que inspirou o personagem do Gideon. E a resposta dela é que sim, com certeza existe. Ele está vivo e muito bem. Ele vive em Manhattan.
Now, someone wanted to know the address. But now another question that's more regarding some unresolved feelings. A reader is slightly confused with what she said. I wanted to know Eva's real feelings for Brett, because sometimes I get very angry at her when I feel that she might still like him.
But now another question that's more regarding some unresolved feelings. A reader is I wanted to know Eva's real feelings for Brett, because sometimes I get very angry at her when
Well, I think if you've read Captivated by You, or I'm not sure what the title is in Portuguese, but I'm sure you'll translate that, you'll see that those feelings are completely and totally resolved in that book. And it's something to consider that the Crossfire series actually only taking place over the matter of about 3 months from Bared to You to Captivated, which is a very short amount of time. This was a very complicated relationship for her. It was the turning point in her therapy sessions where she learned to start valuing herself more, to start demanding more from relationships, to look for men who treat her better. So it took her a bit to resolve from that, but even though it seems like a long time because we followed that over a few books, it was really only in the matter of a few weeks.
Então, o que ela respondeu é que... não, desculpa, a pergunta foi a seguinte, que a leitora fala que às vezes ela fica muito brava com a Eva porque ela sente que a Eva tem algumas questões não resolvidas com relação ao Brett. Então, na verdade, a pergunta foi a seguinte, como, afinal de contas, o que a Eva sente com relação ao Brett? E a Sylvia falou, bom, se você leu esse último livro, você vai ver que sim, agora sim está bem resolvida essa questão, e no Somente Sua, e ela fala assim que gostaria de lembrar que, por mais que pareça muito tempo dentro da vida da Eva, do primeiro livro o último que a gente leu, não passou muito tempo, né? Transcorreram assim, uns 3 meses por aí. Então, na verdade, ela demorou um tempinho para... ela tem um passado muito traumático, então ela demorou um tempinho para aprender a lidar com os sentimentos amorosos dela, aprender a escolher homens que a tratem bem, mas que agora... E se valorizar, mas que agora ela resolveu. Está resolvido.
Now a question from Larissa. She was part of the Crossfire fan page, and she asked if there's any possibility of a spin-off from one of the Crossfire characters.
Absolutely. Yeah, I could see that happening at some point, although it probably will not be a character that you would expect, because the characters that we're following within the Crossfire series, characters like Arnaldo and Carrie, I mean, their stories are so fully intertwined with Gideon and Ava that I can't see those threads separating and becoming something on their own. I think that resolution follows along with Gideon and Ava's resolution. But I can actually see some of the secondary characters, Ireland especially, who as she grows older will definitely reach a point where she's prepared to enter into a serious relationship, and I would love to see how that goes.
Então a pergunta foi se a Sylvia pretende escrever spin-offs de Crossfire sobre algum personagem secundário. E a resposta dela é que sim, que com certeza ela tem interesse em escrever, desenvolver mais a história de alguns personagens, mas que provavelmente não serão os personagens que a gente mais espera. Então, por exemplo, os personagens muito próximos da Eva e do Gideon, por exemplo, o Carrie, ela sente que a história dele está muito relacionada, está muito linkada à história do casal. Então, que ela preferiria algum personagem que foi menos explorado na trama da Eva e do Gideon, como, por exemplo, a Ireland. Ela tem muita curiosidade com relação à trajetória da Ireland. Ela tem muita vontade de ver a Ireland com a própria história, se apaixonando. Ela é muito curiosa com relação a esse personagem.
So another question that's right in line with that, you mentioned Carrie, and so we all wanted to know if this is something we see more of him, and there's any chance we'll ever see things from his point of view. And then, speaking of point of view, do we still get to hear from Gideon, or is that a secret?
One with you, yes. It will be, you hear both points of view between Gideon and Ava, just as you did in Captivated by You. And that's because as we're moving to the end of the series, I mean, that really the first 2.5 books focused on Ava's story. The last 2.5 books are focused on Gideon. And so in order to really tell that story, we have to hear from him. So we'll definitely hear more from him in One with You. As for Carrie, I can't see him having like a separate series or a separate book. I think that in order for us to see Carrie's point of view, that's what the television show is for. I mean, the television show really allows us to explore all the various sub-characters in their perspective. All of the things that were hinted about in the books that we didn't actually see, we'll get to see that in the show.
Então a pergunta foi, primeiro, foram duas perguntas em uma só, na verdade. A primeira foi se a gente, nos próximos livros, vai saber mais sobre o ponto de vista do Carrie, que é um personagem muito importante na série, e se a gente vai saber mais sobre o ponto de vista do Gideon, que a gente adorou saber no último e a gente quer mais agora. E a resposta dela foi que sim, somente seu. A gente vai ouvir muito mais sobre o ponto de vista do Gideon, que a ideia dela é que os primeiros livros eram mais focados no ponto de vista da Eva e que agora os dois últimos serão mais focados nele. Então, que a gente precisa do ponto de vista dele para que a história se complete. E com relação ao Carrie, ela falou que não nos livros, mas que ela acha que é para isso que vai servir a série, que os personagens que a gente gosta e que a gente fica intrigada e que a gente não sabe muito bem o que está passando na cabeça deles, ou a gente não conhece muito bem a vida deles, na série vamos ter tempo de explorar isso melhor e de conhecê-los melhor.
So now a question from more about the writing process. Karina has asked if there's a scene that was especially hard to write, but that for the character development was essential.
In Captivated by You, there's a scene where Gideon has a nightmare that is a direct memory from his past, and we get to experience some of the trauma that he went through as a child. That was an extremely difficult scene for me to write, and it took a very long time. I think that's the longest I've ever worked on a particular scene.
A pergunta foi, teve alguma cena de algum livro da série Crossfire que foi muito difícil de escrever por algum motivo? E ela falou que sim, que a cena do pesadelo do Gideon, onde tem cenas bem gráficas e explícitas sobre o trauma da infância do Gideon, foi muito difícil para ela escrever, demorou muito e que foi o processo mais difícil dela como escritora de toda a carreira dela.
So now 2 questions about Brazil. The first one is probably a recurring question, but is there any chance of the Crossfire or any of your characters coming to Brazil? You've come a couple of times and got to experience everything that's very nice about here. Any chance that your characters might come and visit us as well? And then the second one is if you'll be visiting for to autograph books 4 and 5.
Absolutely. I'm certain that at some point some of my characters will visit Brazil. And every time I go, it's more research for me to add to the book. And I love the country. I love the people. I would absolutely love to have some of my characters go there, as long as I could do it justice. So, you know, the more I'm there, the more we build that up. And yes, actually, I expect that I will be back in Brazil at some point this year.
Então a pergunta foi se ela tem vontade de fazer com que os personagens dela visitem o Brasil em algum momento do livro, em algum livro, e aproveitem um pouco da nossa brasilidade. E na mesma pergunta, se ela tem vontade, se ela talvez vá voltar aqui para o Brasil para conhecer com a gente os autógrafos. Ela respondeu sim para tudo. Sim, ela tem vontade de fazer com que os personagens dela visitem o Brasil, mas desde que ela consiga fazer justiça ao nosso país e que sim, ela se vê voltando para casa, que ela sempre gosta.
And just to let you know that Karina, who asked about the possibility of becoming to sign the books, has promised to publication. So just so you can request that from her once you do come back. The next question is from Adi, who is asking if from all the books you've already published, is there anyone you can compare it to Evan Gideon from the other books? Is there anyone who has a relationship that is similar to theirs?
The next question is from Adi, who is asking if from all the books you've already published, is there anyone you can compare it to as an opinion your books? Is there anyone who has a relationship?
Yes, that would be 7 Years to Sin, and actually it was in the process of writing 7 Years to Sin that I came up with the idea to write the Crossfire series. So there's a direct relation between the two, and if you read 7 Years to Sin and Bared to You, you'll see some similarities because of the inspiration of the one to the other.
Então, a pergunta foi se tem algum outro personagem que ela acha que se compara com o Guido, se tem algum outro personagem que tem traços parecidos com os dele. E a resposta foi que sim, que o livro dela, 7 Years to Sin, aqui no Brasil, não sei o nome, mas é um romance histórico dela. Ele falou que sim, que tem um personagem muito parecido e que ela se inspirou nesse personagem para criar o livro, que tudo começou lá.
So now there's someone who just wanted to say that they're, other than Edmund Median, their one true pairing for this, for the Crossfire series would be Megumi and Emma's dad. So, you know, they just wanted to contribute with ideas. And then here someone has asked, who would you like to see playing Emma and Median, and then any other characters?
And then here's someone who has asked, who would you like to see playing?
Okay, I think I missed the question about Victor, about Ava's dad. So could you repeat that one again? But as for the second half of the question, I think Henry Cavill would make a perfect Gideon Cross, and Scarlett Johansson would make a wonderful Ava.
The part about Victor was more just a person name. They would love to see him with Megumi, but I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Então, pessoal, foram alguém só comentou sobre a opinião de que a Megumi e o pai da Eva, o Victor, seriam um casal legal. E a pergunta foi se... quais são os atores que ela acha que dariam um bom Gideon e uma boa Eva? E a resposta foi Scarlett Johansson e o Henry Cavill. Sabe?
I think that it was your question that I was having a hard time reading, but it's basically to say that they support Henry Cavill for the most part. And then here there's someone who's asking about audiobooks. Are there any translations to your audiobooks? Here in Brazil, we don't have that yet. And then what's the most important thing in having a good audiobook to your books in the U.S.?
Okay, I think I missed the last part about the most important thing about the books. With audiobooks, they are translated into numerous languages and available in different countries. I'm sorry that we don't have a Portuguese and Brazil edition of the audiobooks. I believe there's Portuguese in Portugal, but that's probably not going to be of much help since the languages are not exactly the same. But I'll actually ask my agent about that and see what we know about the audio translations in Brazil.
So the other part was, what do you think is the most important to maintain the spirit of your books when they're transformed into, when they're read out loud for the audiobooks?
They are translated into numerous languages and available in different countries. I'm sorry that we don't have a Portuguese edition of the audiobook. It was just Portuguese in Portugal, but that's probably not going to be of much help for this language. But I'll actually ask my agent about that. The written translation of the book, or is it translated to like television?
No, like in terms of the audio, what's the most important thing to take into consideration when someone is like reading it for the audiobook in order to maintain the faithfulness to how hot and how passionate the stories are?
Well, when we were going to do the English translations, we looked at a couple different narrators to play the part of Ava, and there was a young girl who was a college-age audio narrator, and it was obvious that she was younger, and I liked that about it because I felt that it fit Ava, but she had trouble using some of the coarse language, the four-letter words, and it sounded very awkward when she was reading them, and so that was a problem. So when we went with Jill, who's the one that narrates it in the United States, her voice is older, but she's very comfortable with the material, and it turned out to be a very popular translation, and people really loved the audiobooks. Now, when we went to choose Gideon, we listened to dozens of audio narrators, and it was trying to find the right voice before we came to the right one. So I think that's, you have to find the balance between, does it sound like the way you imagine the character would, or are they so confident and they possess the role so well that matters more?
Então, a pergunta foi, quando você vai colocar um livro num audiobook, o que é o mais importante para conservar a química do livro? E ela respondeu que, em primeiro lugar, ela falou que ela lamenta que ainda não existe audiobook aqui no Brasil, que ela vai conversar sobre isso com a gente dela. Existe audiobook em português de Portugal, mas que ela sabe que isso não ajuda muito. E ela falou, com relação à pergunta do que é importante no audiobook, ela falou que é importante, com a Eva, era importante que ela tivesse uma voz jovem. Então, uma atriz que foi fazer a voz da Eva tinha uma voz muito jovem, mas que o lado ruim é que ela ficava claramente desconfortável para falar nas cenas de sexo, nas cenas mais quentes. Então, com a outra atriz, tinha uma voz um pouco mais envelhecida, um pouco menos do que ela imaginava a Eva falando, mas que ela era muito confiante e que as cenas ficaram muito boas, e que com o Guilherme foi um processo parecido, e que eles fizeram testes com dezenas e dezenas de atores até achar o certo. Então, ela falou que, concluindo, o que é importante é manter um equilíbrio entre como ela imagina que a voz dos personagens seria e como o ator consegue, de fato, executar as cenas de uma maneira confortável e bem confiante.
So another question now about the writing process. Someone wanted to know if what's the part that you enjoy most, and if having this contact with the readers, and then also getting to share with them about the characters that they come to love almost as if they were real, if that's part of your favorite part.
I'll be honest, my favorite part of the writing process is getting to the end. That's such a huge relief when I get there, and there's moments in the books where I think I never will get there, that, you know, it's like crossing a desert, and when you finally see the oasis, it's just such huge relief. So I mean, that's really, you know, the favorite part of the process of writing a book. But absolutely, meeting fans, talking with fans, interacting with them on social media, meeting them in person. I mean, I spend 6 months out of the year traveling because I think it's really important for me to meet with readers face to face, to talk to them about the things that they loved and the things that they didn't love. That absolutely is one of the best parts of my job.
Então, a pergunta foi qual é a parte favorita de ser uma escritora profissional e se ela gosta dessa interação com os leitores. E a resposta foi que, para ser bem honesta, a parte favorita mesmo dela o processo de escrever mesmo, terminar, porque dá uma sensação de realização, parece que você está num deserto e que você finalmente chega ao oásis. Mas que, por outro lado, ela adora essa parte de interagir com os leitores e com os fãs, e ela não só adora, como ela acha extremamente importante para ela.
Now, a question for me personally. You just mentioned you have you spent 6 months of the year traveling, and you had also mentioned you have kids. How do you manage to juggle everything on top of that, writing as well? And so meeting the fans, writing, and then spending time with your kids, and also enjoying yourself. How does that fit into your busy schedule?
You're traveling. You also mentioned you have kids. you manage to juggle everything, that writing as well and writing, and spending time with also enjoying it. How does that?
I work on it every day. I'll be honest. It's really one of those things where some days, I'll just take an entire day off and spend it with my children, and we'll just go do whatever they want. We'll go out to eat. We'll go to the movies. Whatever they want, and then I'll spend one entire day where I'm just writing, and that's it. I mean, I'm just at the computer and I'm doing that. And then days when I'm working, the other side of it, answering interview questions. Responding to questions about covers and translations and so forth. I mean, the business side of things, I'll spend a day doing that. And then there are some days where I fit in a little bit of everything, but I mean, it's like any job, it's like any working mother. You find time, you make time to do what you have to do to make a living, and then what you have to do to live.
Então, a pergunta foi, considerando que ela viaja muito, ela responde muito perguntas de fãs no mundo, já tem fãs no mundo inteiro, ela tem que também escrever, e são várias novelas e vários livros, e que ela tem 12 crianças. A pergunta foi como que ela consegue conciliar tudo isso? E a resposta foi que ela tenta todo dia fazer o melhor que ela consegue. E o que ela faz é que tem dias que ela realmente não escreve, não faz nada com relação à carreira dela de escritora, e ela dedica só aos filhos. Então, esses dias ela vai para o cinema com eles, ela faz tudo que escreve. Mas, em compensação, também chegam uns dias em que ela se tranca e ela só escreve. E tem outros dias que ela tem que cuidar do aspecto mais de business da coisa, né, os negócios, então, os contratos e as questões mais financeiras com relação a tudo isso. E que ela, assim como qualquer outro emprego e assim como qualquer outra mãe trabalhadora, ela precisa fazer um esforço para conciliar as coisas, e é bem difícil.
Well, thank you for sharing. It's very admirable. I've seen your schedule, so it's very impressive that you get to do it. Now, finally, for a more book-related question, what types of characters can we look to in the future, since once the Crossfire series will sadly end, we'll need new books to read and to publish.
Now, finally, for our book-related question, what types of characters do we want for the future? One of the Crossfires have been only books.
Well, the next series that I'm writing is the Blacklist series, which features 2 all-new characters. That's Lily and Kane, and when we first meet them, it's at the very start of their relationship. They're meeting each other for the first time. They're young characters at the point where we first meet them. They're both still in college, and we get to see kind of that first love, like your first serious love affair, where you can start to imagine spending your life with somebody in a way that you can't when you're a teenager, But their relationship doesn't work out the way we expect it to, and we get to actually follow this couple over a very long length of time, over 2 books. So we get to see them when they're younger in that first love stage, and then we get to see them later on where they're older, they're jaded, and they're hurt. They've hurt each other in the past, and the question really, comes to, can you build a strong and healthy relationship with the person who broke you into millions of pieces? Can you forgive them? Can you have a relationship with somebody and not resent them? Can you get the love back, get the innocence of love back later on in life? I'm excited.
Those are very good themes. I'm excited too.
I'm excited. Então, a pergunta foi, infelizmente, a Crossfire vai chegar ao fim. Não vai demorar muito para isso. Então, se ela tem algum outro livro, alguma outra história sendo idealizada, E que a gente pode esperar dessa nova história? E a resposta foi que sim, existe um novo casal surgindo, que é a Lilian e o Ken, e que eles...
Da série Blacklist, e a gente vai publicar no Paralela também.
Da série. E aí, a Lilian e o Ken são um casal que a gente conhece em dois momentos diferentes. Então, o primeiro momento é um momento em que eles não são mais adolescentes, mas são muito jovens e eles passam por esse momento de se apaixonar de verdade pela primeira vez na vida. E aí, um segundo momento que a gente acompanha eles é eles mais velhos e um pouco mais indiferentes assim, com a vida, um pouco mais amargos, e a gente começa a entender que eles, no passado, se machucaram muito, se magoaram muito. Então, a gente vai acompanhar essa história de perdão e a gente vai juntos se perguntar e obter as respostas. Será que é possível um casal que duas pessoas que se magoaram, que se quebraram, se machucaram muito feio, conseguem construir um relacionamento funcional no futuro? Então, eu estou muito animada e acho que vai ser.
Well, now we're trying to close, so if you have any finishing remarks for the Brazilian readers. From our end, we look very much forward to the future books and also to seeing you soon here in Brazil for tours.
Well, now we're for the Brazilian readers. Lauren, we look very much forward to books and also to Brazil for.
I had so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. And for those of you in the audience, I can see you, and I recognize you from book sightings, so hello. Hi. So lovely to see you there.
Vem mais pra cá.
You there. Thank you so much for coming, and I hope whoever wins.
Vem aqui, ó, que vocês veem ela aqui.
Fique em pé, pelo menos.
Vem aqui, ó, vocês veem ela aqui.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. So I want to say thank you so much for having us, for your patience. We're really happy.
Fala que a livraria agradece.
Thank you very much.
Vejo você. Confirmei. Vamos traduzir, só quero.
She's asking for you to come to Vietnam. She said she's gonna.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
Good night to you.